The hidden advantage. Some children learn at home. Why two equally intelligent children can have completely different futures. Imagine two children who are equally bright. They have similar levels of intelligence, similar potential, and, on paper, perhaps even similar abilities. But one grows up believing that when they enter a room with a doctor, teacher, or employer, they have every right to ask questions, challenge decisions, and explain what they need. The other grows up believing that when an expert speaks, you listen, you are polite, and you do what you are told. Neither child is necessarily better behaved. Neither is necessarily more intelligent. But over time, these small differences may shape very different futures. This is an idea explored by sociologist Annette Lareau, whose research was later popularized by Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers. Lareau spent time observing families from different social class backgrounds. She noticed that middle-class parents often raised their children in a way she called concerted cultivation. These parents deliberately organized activities, encouraged discussion, and taught their children to interact confidently with adults and institutions. Working-class and poorer families were more likely to follow what Lareau called the accomplishment of natural growth. Children often had more unstructured time, greater independence, and stronger involvement with extended family. But their interactions with institutions could look quite different. One of the most memorable examples involves a trip to the doctor. A middle-class mother takes her young son Alex to an appointment. Before they even arrive, she encourages him to think about what he wants to ask the doctor. When they get there, Alex does not simply sit quietly. He asks questions. He explains what he thinks. He even challenges or corrects the doctor when something does not seem right. Think about what he is learning. He is learning that a doctor may be an expert, but that does not mean the doctor is beyond questioning. He is learning that his voice matters. He is learning that institutions are not simply things that happen to him. He can interact with them. He can negotiate. He can ask for clarification. He can advocate for himself. Now compare this with a child who repeatedly hears a different message. Listen to the doctor. Do what the teacher says. Don't cause any trouble. Again, there is nothing inherently wrong with teaching children to respect authority. But over many years, these different experiences may create very different understandings of how the world works. Lareau argued that middle-class children often developed what she described as a sense of entitlement. Not entitlement in the everyday sense of believing you deserve everything. Rather, they developed the expectation that they had the right to speak, ask, negotiate, and request. Other children could develop more of a sense of constraint around institutions and authority. And that matters. Because imagine those same children at 18. One student receives a disappointing university grade and emails the lecturer, "Could we discuss my feedback? I'd like to understand how I can improve." Another student receives exactly the same grade and assumes, "The lecturer knows best. There is probably nothing I can do." Later, one asks an employer for an opportunity. One negotiates their salary. One approaches somebody senior and asks for advice. One applies for a position they are not completely sure they are qualified for. These are tiny behaviors, but repeated over a lifetime, tiny behaviors can produce enormous differences. And this connects with another story told in Outliers. In the 1920s, psychologist Lewis Terman began following more than 1,000 children with exceptionally high IQ scores. Terman believed these highly intelligent children were likely to become some of the great achievers of their generation. They became known as the termites. But intelligence did not tell the whole story. Some became extremely successful. Others lived relatively ordinary lives, and some struggled considerably. When researchers later examined differences between the more successful and less successful members of Terman's group, one factor stood out: their social backgrounds. The more successful individuals were much more likely to have grown up in families with greater education, resources, and social advantage. The less successful group disproportionately came from poorer backgrounds. The interesting point is that all of these children had already been selected because they were highly intelligent. So IQ alone could not explain why their lives turned out so differently. What appears to matter is not simply what ability you possess. It is also whether your environment teaches you how to use that ability. Do you know how institutions work? Do you know how to ask for help? Do you have people around you who understand education, careers, and professional systems? Do you feel comfortable talking to people in positions of authority? Do you expect opportunities to be available to you? This does not mean wealthy parents are automatically better parents, or that children from poorer families are destined to be less successful. Lareau actually identified strengths in both approaches to parenting, and there are enormous differences within every social class. The point is much more subtle. Children do not simply inherit money, genes, or intelligence. They also inherit ways of interacting with the world. They learn what questions they are allowed to ask. They learn what opportunities they should expect. They learn whether authority can be challenged. They learn whether institutions are places they belong. And perhaps that is one of the most important lessons from both Lareau and Terman. Potential is not simply something you have. Whether that potential becomes visible can depend enormously on the environment around you. Two children may begin with similar ability, but if one spends childhood learning how to navigate the system while the other never receives that instruction, they may enter adulthood playing the same game with completely different rule books.